October is over, which means Inktober is over. And I did all 31 Inktober drawings. So I thought it would be fun to do a sketchbook tour and show you guys what I drew in the month of October. Now, I also wanted to do at the end like how I prepared for Inktober things. So if you're interested in that, stick around. I'm going to show you what I drew and kind of explain bits and pieces about why I did that and where I was coming from with the prompts and stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy it. The hardest part of filming these videos is always trying to get this particular angle correct. Okay, welcome to my Inktober sketchbook. I guess the important thing to say is probably that I followed the official word prompts for this, so that's where I got the inspiration for all of these drawings. I started off doing a mini drawing each day, so the first page has all these tiny little kind of related to the prompt drawings. This is actually a sticker I got in the Inktober Art Snacks box, so I kind of based it all around this, but it was a mini and kind of like a side project during Inktober that I worked on. Anywho, on to the official drawings, which begin right here. The first prompt was poisonous, and the kind of interpretation of that I took was to do a poisonous carousel. So I did like a black widow spider, a scorpion, and a cobra, and I just kind of put them on this little poison ivy carousel. There's poison ivy everywhere and little skulls. I thought it'd be cute, thought it'd be kind of fun. I'm quite happy with how it turned out, especially considering it was the first time I'd used proper inking supplies. So this was a fun project. Took a very long time, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Obviously you can see that my line work isn't the best, and some smudges here and there, but I mean, for a first go, not bad, not too shabby. The next prompt was tranquil, and so I kind of took inspiration from the Glasnevin Cemetery, where they have this kind of, I don't know how you describe it, a monument that kind of looks like a crypt. It sounds a bit morbid, but I just always kind of thought it was really cool, and so I kind of made it a little more gothic with gargoyles instead of angels, and kind of changed the shape of the building a little bit, and I put a sleeper in there, so someone who's not dead, someone who's like sleeping, you know what I mean? This person is tranquilly sleeping. The next prompt was roasted, and so I just decided to do like a roast dinner and a Viking eating the roast dinner, and I had a lot of fun with this character, kind of the armor that like would not be protective at all. You can see it's just like an elbow cuff and like shoulder pads and like a horned helmet, and I know Vikings didn't wear horned helmets, but I thought it would be more aesthetic. So we have a roast dinner and a Viking. The next prompt was spell, so I did kind of like a witch casting a spell in a lake under the moon. Oh, the moon's not on the screen. Under the moon. I really like the idea of this one. I'm not actually happy with how it turned out. I don't think I got the water right. I don't really think her dress flows naturally on the water as it should do, and also like, why do her sleeves come behind? Anywho, not super happy with this one, but I like the idea. The next prompt was chicken, and I decided to do a funky chicken. So this is the first and one of the only times that I used the colored inks. Mainly because I just didn't like how they blended on this paper, and also because it kind of bled through, and I covered it up on the next page with the drawings I did where it leaked through the pages, but I was not pleased with that at all. He's got a backwards C on his on his Letterman jacket, but hey, you know, he's cool. Next prompt was drooling, and this one really stumped me for ideas. I was like, drooling, how can I make that cool? And I decided to do this mouth doing the big drools and then a scuba diver in the biggest drool, because you know, sometimes you just drool a scuba diver. I'm actually really pleased with how this looks, this part here, not so much this, but this part here, I'm really happy with that. I just think it looks how I envisioned it looking. The next one was exhausted, and so I did a little mechanic who is working beside a car exhaust. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. You really can't see the exhaust that much, and it was the main element on the picture, so that was a bit of a fail on my part, but hey, I'm happy with how she looks. I like her little overalls and her little bandana. The next prompt was star, and I decided to try and do this kind of reverse drawing of a star in bars and kind of have it like a black background with white on top. Now this was probably the most difficult drawing to do, mainly because I was working with negative space, so I was leaving this white and painting the black around it, and it was so difficult to do. I've never worked backwards like this before, so it required a lot of planning, and a lot of trial and error. It's not perfect, but I'm really happy with how it looks, particularly on camera. Like, it looks pretty great right there. The next prompt was Precious, and I decided to do kind of like a very simple, like 2 little kids dressed up for Halloween. One's an angel, one's a devil, and she's just kind of offering him a flower, and I just thought, that's cute, that's precious, right? There was a slight disaster with these 2 drawings insofar as I didn't wait for this one to dry before I closed the book. So if you look, you can't really see in this lighting, but if you kind of move the page, you can kind of see that I had to fix up this a lot with a lot of white ink, trying to like white out essentially all the places that it transferred over when I closed it. That was, I was quite upset by that. Anyway, this prompt was flowing, and I kind of wanted his hair to be flowing, as you can tell, so it's kind of like this 70s hippie-esque guy who has just like great hair. The next prompt was Cruel, and I decided to do Medusa, who is a Gorgon from Greek mythology, and also you probably see her a lot in like pop culture as well. I decided to kind of have fun with this one a little bit and do different snakes with different prints and different patterns. This next one was for Whale. Now, I am really happy with this. Not necessarily because the whale skeleton is accurate, because it is not. It is not an accurate whale skeleton. I just kind of googled a few pictures and put a few of them together, and I decided to do this little sailor camping out in a whale skeleton. Not that that would offer much support in a realistic circumstance, but I just thought it was a fun little idea, and I really wish that I was better at inking so as I could have portrayed this better. This one was a lot of fun. This was for the prompt Guarded, and I decided to do a guard dog that is like super cute and not a very good guard dog, you know, and this was actually really challenging for me because dogs are not something I'm good at drawing. I cannot draw dogs or most animals, so I decided to try and challenge myself there and do an animated dog. And I mean, you can tell he's a dog, so I suppose I succeeded. This little cupcake is for the prompt Clock, and I decided to do like a time for cake kind of prompt, and you can see there's all the different cogs and wheels, which, you know, don't touch. So are they efficient cogs and wheels? No, they're not. They would not work. This would not be a proper timely cupcake. But I had fun with this little clock here, doing the face with the little pattern, and then cupcake and the cog. It was just a fun little cupcake for Clock. This next drawing is the one I'm actually the least happy with out of all of the Inktober drawings. It is for the prompt Weak, and I'm just so disappointed with how it turned out, really. My concept was someone who is usually weak portrayed as, you know, sneaky, and someone who is traditionally perceived as like the one who would play with a weak person, just kind of not being able to get them, but it doesn't come across. I'm fully aware that this is not a successful concept. Going on to the next 2 then, I'm actually quite pleased with both of these. This was for Angular, and my concept was kind of like curves are also angular. So I did these different like, I guess, angles. I used a ruler, the roundy one, to mark these out, but they are not accurate. Anyone who does maths knows that this isn't correct. This next drawing was for the prompt Swollen, and essentially it's just a pregnant woman doing yoga. And that's it. It's kind of one of the most simple ones that I did, but one of the ones that I'm happiest with, which is kind of funny because I didn't think I would like how this turned out. As I was drawing it, I was tempted to kind of give up and start again, but no, I love how it turned out. The next prompt was Bottle, and in this little bottle I have a little girl in a locked bottle. As you can see, there's a key kind of going through the cork, and there's also a treasure map on the back of the label. You can't really see from this angle, but you can see it a little better on my Instagram. I also have this rope kind of tied around it with a star, and that was just to kind of give it some more variety. The next drawing is for the prompt Scorched, and I wanted to do kind of like a fire performer, you know, like a street performer, the ones with the like, you know, with the baton that's like flaming both ends, and I imagined this really cool. I kind of wanted to do it against the backdrop of stars, but I just wasn't sure how to do that. The next prompt was Breakable, and I decided to do some bubbles because bubbles, you know, pop and they break, and that was my concept for this one. And just to make it a little more interesting, I did it from a performer on stilts who's kind of doing the like street bubbles, you know, where they have the long rope and they dip it in. Now if you look closely, you will actually notice that there is no way she on her stilts could reach these sticks into the bubbles. It just wouldn't reach because I did them too short. But don't tell anyone and it'll be fine. No one will notice. The next prompt was Drain, and this is when I was planning out my Inktober sketches, was the first concept that I had. It was of this little kind of like borrower-esque character going down a drain. And while I'm happy with the concept, I also kind of think that he looks a bit like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and he wasn't supposed to. And I mean, yeah, that's what he looks like. He kind of looks like if a Ninja Turtle was human. The next prompt was expensive, and so I decided to do a dragon kind of sitting on a hoard of gold. Now, what I noticed was that absolutely everyone I showed this drawing to said, it doesn't look like gold. What is he sitting on? What does that have to do with expensive? And I was kind of banking on people's knowledge of dragon lore, that dragons like gold, and they would just kind of take these scribbles as piles of gold, which was kind of lazy on my part. I should have maybe detailed it a bit more, but I don't know, I really like this dragon. I think he's kind of cute. The next prompt was muddy, and it's a very simple little drawing. It's quite cute. It's this little girl just playing in puddles, playing in the mud. This next drawing I think turned out pretty well, especially considering it was one of the drawings I didn't have an idea what I wanted to do for. I had no idea how to get on with this prompt, which is chop. And I decided, as you can see, to go for a guillotine, which is French weapon of, you know, chopping heads off. The head goes through here and it falls into the bucket. Quite happy with this. I like the ivy kind of twirling around it. Makes it look a little old, a little vintage, but also like it's still outdoorsy kind of thing. You know, as if someone just kind of forgot to take this one down. Next prompt was prickly, and this is a very straightforward kind of concept. Just succulents and cactuses because they're prickly, and I kind of put a face on this one just to add some visual interest. Next prompt was stretch, and this is another drawing that I just didn't like how it turned out. It's someone just waking up in the morning stretching, but I think I didn't get the angle of her arms right, and it kind of looks like she's kind of half-heartedly stretching. Also, her face is a little odd, and the creases on the t-shirt don't. Like, they don't work. This next drawing was for the prompt thunder, and this is another drawing that I had real trouble coming up with a concept for, but essentially I just decided to do some storm clouds around a girl's face. Interpret it as you will. This prompt was gift, and I took it as like she has like a gift of like this side, or she's a fortune teller, something along those lines. You can't really see it in this lighting, but she has quite a lot of freckles. Hang on, I'll see if I can zoom it in for you. She's quite a lot of freckles, and I really like how it looks in real life. The next drawing was for double, and I decided to go for like a double toil and trouble witch's cauldron type idea, and not happy with this. You can tell that the cauldron just isn't drawn proportionally very well, and also like this doesn't really, like, it's not done to the highest standard, and that's entirely my fault. I left this drawing to too late at night. I'm happy with the fire though. I think the fire looks quite cool, but the pot, the actual focus of the drawing, not the best. This next drawing is for the prompt jolt, and I kind of wanted to do like a Greek mythology kind of scene where there was like Zeus and Poseidon kind of fighting. I have mixed feelings about this one. I think it's okay. I think Zeus is quite cool, but his little cloud, like, like this is not the heavens, you know what I mean? This is a single marshmallow cloud. Not too happy with that. Poseidon, I'm quite okay with how the sea looks, but his beard looks weird, and I still to this day, like 4 days later, cannot see what's wrong with his beard, but I know that something's off, you know what I mean? Like this line here looks wrong. Something is wrong here, and I don't know what it is, and that annoys me a lot. This is a divider page, so it's just to stop it printing on each other. The last and final drawing is slice, and this is just a slice of pumpkin pie. It's got a little pumpkin on it, a little ghost, a little witch's hat, and some stars, and it's just like a cheesecakey pumpkin pie type cake. Now, I would be very happy with this because it looks quite good. It looks how I imagined it looking, but can you see? Can you tell? It's not in the middle of the page. And that is essentially my Inktober sketchbook tour. Okay, so lastly, I wanted to kind of talk through how I planned for Inktober, because I think planning was essential to getting it done. Because some days you don't feel inspired, and that's part of working in a creative field, is you have to work through those days. So one thing I found absolutely essential both this year and last year was planning my ideas for Inktober. What I did on the very first day when the prompts were announced was write them out in a list in my sketchbook, my kind of crappy quality sketchbook that I don't mind kind of using for thumbnails and stuff. This list is just the official Inktober list, and then beside it in kind of a paler pencil, I guess you can't really see it too clearly, I did a very small little concept for what I was going to draw for those things. And I don't know if you can see this too well, but most, if not all of these ideas were changed. I only kept very few of my first initial ideas. Most of these ideas were just kind of me playing around with different concepts. The funky chicken's kind of the same, the exhaust, but then I've got ones like drooling where I did like this old school desk and a kid asleep drooling on it. And then for tranquil, it was going to be a graveyard, just straight up. Poisonous, I have a snake with makeup on it. And then like cruel, I was going to do like two hands holding a person, and it would be like the hands of fate, and fate is cruel, that kind of thing. Then what I did a few days before Inktober started, I did a mock-up sketch of all of the ideas that I decided on, like ideas that from the list before I'd seen and kind of liked and had like a way of elaborating on it. I did a kind of very rough 10-minute sketch of what I wanted that to look like, so as I could fix up any problems that I had in the real drawing. And you can see I did that for most guard dogs. You can see the trouble I had drawing dogs. Yeah, it was difficult. It took me many attempts to try and get his face right. And slice, for the last drawing, I was going to do kind of like a cake, and they were taking a slice of time because there's a clock face on it. But stylistically, I just knew that it wouldn't come across as a concept, and I decided not to go for that one. You could probably notice that there's a few drawings and ideas missing, a few prompts missing from the ones I just showed you, and that is because as I was elaborating on the ideas that I had from that list, I was changing my mind, and there was a few that I knew that I wanted to do differently, and I hadn't come up with a concept for those yet. And for those ones, I kind of played around afterwards, and you can see there's some pages missing for ideas that I just really didn't like. So essentially that was how I planned for Inktober. I did the list of prompts with little mini sketches beside them, and then elaborated on them in these bigger sketches that took between 2 and 10 minutes. I also went away to Paris for a week, and to prepare for that I did 2 drawings a day the week before, which you might call cheating. I call being prepared. And I know all real artists who are watching this are going to be like, you think drawing 1 drawing a day is difficult? You are weak. But I'm still learning. I'm still getting there. And I really enjoyed doing this challenge. Okay, that is my Inktober sketchbook tour. Let me know if you guys participated. Feel free to leave your Instagram handles in the down below, and I will give it a check out. You know, phrase it properly in your head and pretend I said it. Anywho, that is all I have for the sketchbook tour. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.